Multiplication, another grade 1 topic for your GCSE maths exam. There are two ways in which I'm going to show you how to multiply. The first one is going to be the column method. The second one is going to be the Chinese grid method, which personally is my favourite as I think it leaves less room for error, especially when we move on to decimals, which will be in a different video. So if we're going to do column then, we will have to just set it up like this. It doesn't actually matter as much, especially when there's only one digit underneath. The first thing you're going to do is you are going to do 3 times your 4, which gets you 12, and you're going to carry your 1. Your next step then is going to be 3 times 9, which gets you 27, add your 1 is 28, and your final answer is 282. The method in which I'm going to use, however, is going to be this method, which is the Chinese grid method. I have 2 numbers in 94, so I'm going to split my grid into 2, and then obviously just 3 is its own digit on its own. So this first part here, this first box on the right is 4 times 3. It's this digit and this digit times together. Well, 4 times 3 gets me 12. Then on the next part is my 3 times my 9, which gets me 27. You're then going to add up in what I like to call them little train tracks. You're going to add up down the diagonals. So it's really important when you're setting it up that your diagonal lines go from the top right to the bottom left of each box. This does become a simpler method the more and more we look at it. So for this first column here, I've got 2. My next one, I've got a 1 and a 7, which gets me 8. And then finally, I've got 2 on its own, which is just 2. So as you see again, I've got the number 282. Right, if we move on then to 2 digits by 2 digits, we've got 2 times my 7, which gets me 14. So I'm going to carry my 1. And then 2 times 4 gets you 8. Add your 1 is 9. Really importantly, now I'm moving on to my tens, so I'm going to have to carry on with a 0 so that my place value is right. Then I've got 6 times 7, which is 42, to carry my 4. And then 6 times 4, which is 24, add my 4 is 28. You're then going to add those two together, 4, 11, 9 and 2. So as you can see with a method like that, as you start getting 4 by 3 digits, 4 by 4, etc., you're going to have a lot of adding and there's quite a lot of room for error, which is why I prefer to use the Chinese grid method. It's nice to see both methods, however, because everyone has a different preference in what method they would use. You've then got 47 on the top and 62 here, so a 2 by 2 grid. Noticing that the diagonals go from the top right to the bottom left of each of my boxes. Really important is setting that box up right. 7 times 6 then is my first one, which gets me my 42. And then 4 times 6, which is 24. 7 times 2 gets me my 14. And finally 4 times 2 is 8. You notice it is the same calculations in the one we've done before. It's just all set up in the grid. So again, I'm calling those my train tracks. They need to set up as follows like this. The reason as well on this bottom left box I've put 0, 8 is because the top part is for your tens and the bottom part is for your units. I've got 4 on this column, then I've got 2, a 1 and an 8, which gets me 11. So I'm going to put my 1 and I'm going to carry 1, just like you do with addition. 4 add 4 add 1 gets me my 9, and then I'm left with a 2. Noticing again that that's exactly the same number, 2,914, 2,914. Finally then, I've got 129 times 81. 1 times 9 gets me just 9. 1 times 2 is just 2. And 1 times 1 is just 1. Quite a nice one. Then again, I need to fill in with a 0. 8 times 9 is 72, so I'm going to carry my 7. 8 times 2 is 16. Add your 7 is 23. And then 1 times 8 is 8. Add your 2 is 10. I'm going to add those both up. 9, 4, 4, 0 and 1. And finally then, using that exact same method as before for the same question. So 129 times 81, I've got a 3 by 2 grid, so making sure I've set that up right as follows. 9 take away 8 then gets me my 72. 8 times 2 is 16. And 8 times 1 is 8. Making sure I put 0 and then 8 because I've got my tens and my units. 9 times 1 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. And 1 times 1 is 1. Adding up down that diagonal then, I've got a 9 on its own. 2, a 0 and a 2 is 4. 7, 6, 0 and 1 is 14. So I'm going to carry my 1. And then I've got 8, 1, 0 and 1, which is 10. 10,449 is your final answer, which is the same as the one on the last question.